at some green beans today, and I pulled two different types out of my deep freezer. Both are bush beans. We got Kalima bush. I vacuum sealed these and put them in the freezer on, looks like December 23, which was recent. And these are Jade 2. Bought a lot of this seed back in 21, and I packaged it and then froze it in May of 21. So this seed is 3 years frozen, and I'm going to let them acclimate to the temperature in the house now before I open them, and then we'll be planting these outside later today. Transferred the frozen bean into these little Ziplocs. And this is Kalima. I think there's enough to do these two beds here. They're going to be in the front of the bed, and I'll have winter squash growing up the trellis behind it. So first thing I need to do is I've got this part of a square here that's got measuring on it. I'm going to plant every 4 inches, but first I need to make a trench, but I want to make sure I get it close to the drip tape. So I want to get a trench here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in here like this and just make a trench just like so. These are little cabbages and various stuff I made as a winter cover. They're coming up still. So I'll do that in both of these beds, and I'll make that trench. And it'll be real near the drip tape, which will be good for it. And then what I'll do is I'll take the same measuring area here and put it in inches here. That way I'll know how to space them. Get the bean here. And I'll put 2 every 4 inches. So 1, 5. Let me do it to where it's easier to do. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40, 44, 48, and we'll move this down till we get enough here. We'll continue to do every 4 inches, 2 per hole, so that if one doesn't germinate, the other one probably will. That's my hope. All right, I'm going to do this in both of the beds, and then I'll cover them up with some potting mix so that it'll be easier to come up through the soil. Had enough Kalima to do not only these 2 beds, but the other bed. And the beans are going as a secondary plant in the beds with the trellis on 6 of them. And so that's Kalima. And these are Jade 2, along with these here which are also Jade 2. Right there. Now to cover them up. Now what I'm doing is I'm putting my seed starting mix, which is 1/3 cocoa, 1/3 peat, and 1/3 perlite, equal 1/3, and I'm putting it over the trench here because this right here is a hard, kind of a hard pan that's made up of compost, composted cow manure, and some other fertilizers, organic fertilizers. And I put it over the top, and as the rain hit it, it created this hard pan. I don't want to put that back over and have it hard again. So what I'm doing is I'm adding this mix into the trench here. Hold on, my wife's calling. So anyway, I'm going to sit on this, but I was demonstrating what I'm talking about here. So after I do this, which you can see won't take long at all, the depth isn't that deep, and also because of that, it could dry out. So I'm going to add the aged rice hulls on top of this. I'm about from here to here, and I'm going to show you why when I finish this here, which is very quickly here, and I'll show you why I'm going to do that. So in these two beds I've got blackberries, onions, and peppers in the center, or there's grapes, peppers, and onions. But I've already done the aged rice hulls here, and I'll show you. See how easy that is to get through? It's real easy to penetrate, but if you dig down just a short little bit, see how that's moist? This will all dry. The aged rice hulls will dry out, but it stays supple, and so what's underneath it will remain moist, which is perfectly what the seeds do, and it helps trap that moisture in as a mulch. And that's exactly what it is. It's a mulch, but it's a penetratable mulch, unlike bark fines or some other straw or something that's probably a little bit more difficult once it gets matted down. But these rice hulls, oddly enough, you'd think they just blow away in the wind, but they don't. They stay. And so I'm going to put a layer of that over just the bean area, and then I'll plant the winter squash here in a couple weeks or so when it warms up enough, and then I'll finish with the mulch on top here with the aged rice hulls. Working in raised beds is really easy. I mean, it just can't be easier at all. The initial setup for the trellis and the beds and the cost and expense of the beds and all that is a little bit of a pain to absorb, but working in it is easy. So let me spread these rice hulls out. Only on this side, more or less. About 3/4 of the bed will be covered up with rice hulls. I don't want to get it too thick over them seeds, but see, it goes quickly. Sometimes there's a rock in it. That's what I just threw away. Here we go. That's all I need to do. And now I'll water it in. I'll water these twice a day, plus the drips on, until they come up and their roots have set down lower. Because what can't happen is they can't dry out. If they dry out, they die. So that's one thing you should keep in mind whenever you do raised beds. Eggplants here, they got a little dry and they're wilty now. You got to stay on top of them until they set the roots pretty good. And then, plus the drip irrigation hasn't been on for very long, so maybe about 3 or 4 days, 5 days, maybe up to a week, I'm not sure exactly. So it's not, I'm not sure how thoroughly wet down through there it is. The raised beds over there where the peppers are, the grapes, that's been on for over a month. So those are all doing great over there. Now these are more peppers here. I'll go ahead and hit those a little bit. And this empty bed here too, that'll be squash, I'm pretty sure. Bush squash. My squash, Madison's cross. Just help keep it moist. Like I said, except for the very end down there, this hasn't been on very long, the drip irrigation. So that's why I'm doing these beds. And I'll hit these a little bit more, the ones that you've seen already I've planted, and get them nice and moist. And I'll do this a couple times a day, and that's it. I'll bring you back once they start penetrating the surface here and show you what it looks like. These are the green beans today. They've popped through just yesterday. And all of the beds that I planted, which was 6 beds, are doing great. They've got good germination. Most of the 2 is popped up in most of the areas. And it's planted over here more towards this side because on the trellis side is going to be vining squash in this bed particularly, and cucumbers in this bed going up. And so these will be nice, and they'll kind of be a foreshadow or foreground to the vining crops, and should provide good cover from the sun as well. This morning I came outside, and on top of the deck rail there was frost. It was ice. I could scrape it and it was underneath my nails. And I mean, I about shit myself. I mean, I had already planted 1 row out there of tomatoes in the garden. I've got all these tomatoes here to plant, and then I walked over to the raised bed garden. So let's go take a look at that. It's over here behind my grow room. So that was this morning early, and this is late afternoon, early evening. And I don't know how it happened. The temperature, because I check it every single day, and we always get a surprise frost in April, but it was not supposed to get colder than 40. I have no idea what temperature got down to. I checked the 2 adjacent cities. The one closest to me said 40, and another one down the road about 15 miles said 39. So I'm thinking, okay, I've done it at 37 before and it was fine, but I've also had a severe killing frost at 36 degrees. So when I walked out and I scraped the frost on the rails, oh man, my heart dropped, because I've got 2 months worth of plants planted here, and the tomatoes that are getting planted now. And yeah, so it looks like it worked out pretty good. I'll take you quickly here and show you. This is a green bean update anyway, but part of gardening is not always staying exactly on topic, because gardening affects many different levels. And you can see here the green beans did pretty darn nice. I did lose a cucurbit, a squash here. No, that wasn't a squash, that's a cucumber, because that flap was higher and it found its way in between here and just whacked it. But anyway, I've got a replacement for that. Yeah, if you look over here, they look pretty nice over here too. These have actually even look a little better. I'll use my camera and get you in for close up. So the direct sowing of the green beans worked out really well. Let's go around and look briefly at the others to put my worry to bed. These are the zucchinis, and over there are the eggplants, and we got some climbing winter squash there and here, and the green beans in both of these beds. Y'all, I did not lose a single plant. I was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it. Anyway, this is Madison's Cross. Love my Madison's Cross. Over there are some peppers, Terzetta Bella, which is a breeding of mine also. I think I might have talked about this already. In these two beds, I've got Kalima green beans. And you've already seen the video. To me, it's been many, many days since I did an update on the green beans, so I can't remember what I talked about. Anyway, that's not Madison's Cross. That's another yellow summer. This is Madison's Cross. Over in that empty bed over there, I've got to do asparagus still. They said it shipped out today. It's supposed to be here in 3 days. So I've got blackberries, some more peppers, and some onions. Grapes, peppers, and onions in that one. Everything worked out just right. And over here are my dwarfs, and they're looking really, really great too. So that'll close out this video. I just wanted to give you an update and inform you of a scare. Something happens every year. It's just always something. This is Brent, you guys. We'll see you later.
How long do we gotta stay?